Oh, we're live. Hey, playa. Welcome to another live stream here on the Josh Speaks. For those of you that are new here, my name is Josh, and every single Monday through Friday, I make videos sharing tips, ideas, and stories teaching you how to be your best self. Now, today's video is how I got 3 girls to say yes to being my girlfriend. I want to share 3 different stories with you guys of the different girlfriends that I've had over the years, how we came to be, how I asked them out, how things played out, and I want to open some space for Q&A where you guys can ask your own questions, what you're dealing with in terms of relationships, talking to your crush, asking people you like out, working on building a solid relationship with your boyfriend or girlfriend. Anything that's on your mind, I want to open up that space for questions too. For now, I just want to say, if you're here, if you're excited, I want you to drop a fire emoji right there in the chat. I want to see if you guys are pumped for this because these are going to be fun stories to tell. Now, I've done videos on each of these stories in the past, so this is going to be a bit of a recap of that, but with a new twist on it. I think as you kind of tell stories over and over or talk about experiences that you had, you tell them a little differently. So I think it'll be fun. Plus, it's interactive this time around, which is going to be cool. So drop those fire emojis, guys, if you're excited, if you're pumped here. And I want to tell you guys about my first story. So if any of you are curious, my first girlfriend, I first had my first girlfriend, I guess would be the right way to phrase it, in high school, right? So I was a sophomore in high school. That means I was 15 years old. She was 14 years old, both of us young. And she was a girl that I would see all the time on the bus, right? When she started as a freshman, I would see her all the time on the bus. And I thought to myself, man, like, this girl's really cute. I want to talk to her, but I'm too nervous. I've never kind of talked to a girl, approached her and started something, out of nowhere like that. But every day I would see her, and since my brother took the bus with me and she would take the bus in the morning, she got in the same bus stop as well. Me and my brother would always talk loudly just about wrestling, about anything on our minds. And I noticed that when we would make jokes here and there, she would laugh. If we said something that was funny, she would laugh. So I knew that we were getting her attention, but I still didn't have the courage to kind of just like start talking to her. Now, there were times as time went on, there were moments, people asking about my shirt. So this is a wrestling t-shirt. This is Just Neff. He's my brother, actually. He's a professional wrestler. If you want to check out his merchandise, just go to justneff.com. You can see his boom time capture kick. That's one of his signature wrestling moves, capture kick. It's a cool shirt. But so anyway, so I would see this girl on the bus. Both of us would see her. And, every so often she would kind of like laugh at our jokes. And you could tell that she was kind of paying attention to what we were doing and saying. Then, as we talked more about wrestling, I noticed that she was really paying attention. So I remember turning to her once, just casually saying, "Oh, what do you think about that?" And she shared her opinion. And we started to have these small initial conversations. Nothing personal, nothing deep, but just these small conversations where we'd share like 1 or 2 words or a sentence back and forth and then go on with our day. Every time I got off the bus stop, I still didn't talk to her. We both kind of walked on our own, and that was that. Now, this went on for a few months, right? It had been a few months into the school year. And I remember, I really liked her. I wanted to talk to her. I wanted to ask her out, but I just didn't have the courage to do it. Now, I didn't know her all that well. Here's the thing. I didn't really know her that well. I casually knew her. I've seen her enough times. And I think a lot of you guys might be in this type of experience too. And if you are, I want you to leave a smiley face emoji if you're in this kind of situation where you like someone, you're not really that close with them, and you're not sure whether or not you're at that point where you can ask them to hang out or you can ask them out. You don't know if you're close enough yet, or if they view you as a friend, or they just don't know who you are well enough, that you're kind of stuck in that middle zone where it's like, well, are we close enough to start even dating or hanging out? That was the situation I was in. I see a bunch of you guys, Anthony and Shane, Hailstorm, Endercon Animations, Scarlet Base, Eric. A lot of you guys are in that situation where it's like the movie Raider. It's like, what do I do? Or have I invested enough time to getting to know them? Well, here's how it worked out for me. So because she knew who I was, and because, we kind of had an understanding of the other person there, I remember sitting one day in kind of the lobby area of my school with my friends. And I'm sitting with my friends. She's sitting with her friends. And we're kind of separate groups, And I see that she's just surrounded by all her friends. And I keep thinking to myself, man, I'd love to talk to her. I want to walk up to her and I want to talk to her, but I don't know what to say. And she's with her friends. It's going to be weird. I gave myself a million reasons not to do it. I just kept holding myself back. And then from there, my friend just turned to me and is like, dude, just walk up to her and say hi. That's it. Say hi to her friends. Don't think too much about it. Don't stress yourself out. Don't overanalyze it. Just walk up and say hi. So, without even thinking, I followed what I've talked to you guys about, which is the 3 second rule, right? When you spot your crush, give yourself no more than 3 seconds to just walk up to her and talk to her. Yes, there was a little bit of time before that, but in that moment when my friend said that, I immediately said, all right, 3 second rule here. I stood up and started walking towards my crush. And I remember thinking to myself in those moments walking, I'm like, oh, what am I going to say to these people? What do I talk to them about? And I just went, hey guys, let me ask you guys a question. Immediately, what popped into my mind is this: that because my crush is sitting there in a group full of people with all of their friends, with all her friends, I knew that if I just talked to her directly, everyone else would be weird. They would feel weird about it. They'd be like, who is this guy? Why is he talking to her and not anyone else? Like, what does he want? So I knew that I had to address the entire group, because by addressing the entire group, I knew that I could make everyone feel comfortable with me being there. No one's going to feel like I was just some weirdo standing over everyone. So I turned to the whole group and I said, hey guys, let me ask you guys a question. Now, at the time, obviously, when you guys had your fidget spinners, before this was popular, it was yo-yos, right? In my time that year in high school, yo-yos were the big thing, right? So let me put these down. I remember that people were either using yo-yos or they were using what were called yo-yo balls, which were like these squishy balls on a string that you would just bounce around. And if you squeeze them, they were colorful and all these weird things. So that was the big thing before fidget spinners really kind of, you guys know fidget spinners. Before fidget spinners became the thing. So anyway, yeah, they're not popular anymore. I don't think anyone uses it. I just have them lying around here. But I remember turning to the group and I said to them, I said, hey guys, let me ask you a question. What do you guys like more, yo-yos or yo-yo balls? And I remember everyone kind of looking at each other and they're like, well, I like yo-yos. I like yo-yo balls. I think yo-yos are stupid. I think all this is stupid. And I remember my crush said, oh, I think yo-yos are cooler. Now, I had two potential ways to handle that situation. And I think you guys do too if you're going to do the same thing, which is approach your crush when they're with their friends. Either I can agree with her and say, oh, awesome, you're on my side. We both like yo-yos. Or I can disagree with her and say, you don't like yo-yos? You get out of here. You're not cool enough. And if I chose to agree with her, I would play it up like we were awesome together. Like, oh, we're a great match. If I chose to disagree with her, I'd be like, ugh, I can't be around you. I can't stand you. Now, the beauty in having that choice is that I think you should align your response to the type of personality that you have. So if you're the kind of person that really loves to kind of like joke around and have fun and learn about someone, I would say agree with them. If you're the kind of person that you're better off in those situations where you could be sarcastic and witty and funny and tease people, I would choose to disagree with her, because I think that'll give you a little bit more to play off of with her. So for me, I chose to agree with her. So both of us are sitting there and I'm like, oh, you like yo-yos? That's it. You're on my team. We're cool now. We're buddies. And I remember as I was talking to the group, I sat down next to them and I just started talking to them, started to ask them, oh, what are the things you guys, what else are you guys into? What are the other things that you guys like? And they started to open up. They started to talk about their hobbies, their interests, and other things that they like. And I knew at that moment, once the group started to talk to me more, and I know that they were kind of listening, started to turn and have their own conversations where I was no longer the focus of the group. I knew that was it. I had made it in. And this is something that I think I want you guys to recognize too. And it's this idea that when you approach a group or you approach someone, the goal ultimately should be to make them feel comfortable enough where they don't feel like they need to be on when you're there. If you know what I mean, if you guys understand what I mean by being on, I want you to leave a thumbs up emoji here, because I'll explain it anyway. What I mean by being on is that when you're around someone that maybe you don't know that well or you're not that close with, you feel like you need to keep a conversation going so things won't get awkward, or you need to keep talking to them, or if it goes silent, it's like you don't want that dead space, so you just keep talking, you keep stuff going just because it's like, this is going to be weird otherwise. But if you ever notice when you're with your friends or you're just hanging out with friends or family, it's like you don't have those moments. You don't need to be on. You could just be relaxed. You could just be yourself and just chill. So I knew that in that moment, I no longer had to be on because the rest of the group wasn't sitting there paying attention to me. They were just doing their own thing. And it was at that moment that I was sitting there one on one talking to my crush with her friends all around, and none of them cared that I was there. It didn't bother them, it didn't annoy them, they weren't weirded out by it. And I sat there sitting to my crush, talking to my crush for the rest of, I think it was the lunch period or whatever it was. So I knew that I didn't have to be on anymore. I could just be myself. And I just started talking to her. And I remember asking her, what are some other things you like? It turns out that she was a wrestling fan. So the two of us just talked about wrestling, which was awesome. So we did that. And then at the end of that kind of hangout there, I remember turning to her and saying, you're a really cool person. Let me get your phone number so I can call you sometime and the two of us can hang out. And she kind of smiled and looked at her friends like, oh my God, he's asking for my number. And boom, from there, I knew I was moving forward. I knew I was making steps in the right direction. I remember texting her or calling her. I don't remember what I did. And I asked her to hang out. Now, she didn't live too far from me, so I was able to kind of walk over to her house, and the two of us just walked around the neighborhood for the first few dates. Eventually, the two of us started going out. Now, that was cool to me. That was an awesome experience because it was the first time I had ever really approached a girl and talked to her, got to know her, and then asked her out. All the other times in the past, I was way too scared to do it. Had I been rejected by other girls? Yes, indirectly rejected, I would say, because like I said, I never directly asked someone out, but I would try to spend time around my other crushes, but they would kind of not give me the time of day. So I took that as a sign of rejection. So that's how I got my first girlfriend. That's how the two of us started going out. Now I'm curious, I want to jump over to the comments now. I want to hear Unknown is asking, how did you guys break up though? I'm going to explain how the relationship went and then how we broke up in a minute. But I want to hear your guys' perspective here. For those of you that have you've been in a relationship before, what was your first experience like being in a relationship? How did you guys start going out? Or if you're someone that hasn't been in a relationship before, what are some of the roadblocks you keep running into? What are the challenges you're bumping into that's preventing you from actually going out with someone? Are you too nervous? Do you get rejected a lot? Do you not know how to keep a conversation going? I want to look at the chat here and see what you guys are saying. So, Tropic Slice says, how can I make myself stop making excuses not to talk to girls? Yeah, Tropic Slice. That's exactly what I was experiencing too. I kept making excuses to not approach my crush and not talk to them. I think the best way to kind of jump over that hurdle is to kind of push yourself into those situations where you just say hi to them. Like to me, that's the perfect opener. Hey, how's it going? What are you up to? What's going on? Hey, did you hear about this test that we're having in class? Oh, what are you doing for the weekend? What are you doing on the weekend? Hey, have you seen this new movie that just came out? All these little conversation starters are going to help build to bigger conversations. Now, one thing you can definitely check out is my 20 icebreaker conversation starters, because I give you 20 things that you can talk about in the middle or in the beginning of a conversation just to get it going. So check that out. Thomas Turner's asking, did you officially ask her out? So that's a good question, Thomas Turner. I did end up officially asking her out. We ended up hanging out a few times. Now, that's what I consider the dating period, right? A lot of people confuse dating and being in a relationship, but dating really is just taking time to hang out one-on-one to get to know each other first. I think it's very different from being in a relationship. When you're in a relationship, you're focusing on building your connection with each other. And when you're dating, you're focusing on finding what you guys connect over. So we spent a lot of time dating, I want to say maybe a month or so, hanging out every few days on the weekends here and there. And then eventually I asked her to be my girlfriend. I said, hey, I forgot how I phrased it. I think I'd said something like, hey, I really like you. I really like spending time with you. I want you to be my girlfriend. And I remember her saying, yeah, I want to be in a relationship with you too. I want to be your girlfriend. I want you to be my boyfriend. So the two of us kind of saw eye to eye. It was a good experience, but we had spent enough time getting to know each other after I initially asked her to hang out. Let's see what else some of you guys are saying. So Corey is saying, this girl Maria I've known for 3 years has always been interested in me, but she was taken. Now she's single and we talk like we're dating, but we're not yet. And I really want her to be mine. Okay. So for 3 years, she was interested in you. But now she's single. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm trying to read it and talk. Let me just read it here. Now she's single and we talk like we're dating, but we're not yet. I really want her to be mine. So here's the thing. If the girl Maria is single, why not just ask her out? Like, it sounds like she's cool with you. It sounds like you guys are close and you guys are getting together well. I think you just got to take that step and ask her to hang out, spend one-on-one time with her, then eventually ask her to be your girlfriend. Gamerski says, my bro just got a girlfriend yesterday and listened to Josh's advice. Awesome, dude. I'm happy for you, man. Shane says, I don't know how to keep conversations going. Yeah, Shane, I totally get where you're coming from on that. Sometimes it's like your mind goes blank. You don't know what to say. You don't know how to keep it going. So definitely check out. I know you've checked out the Icebreaker Conversation Starters. I'm definitely going to work on an online course sometime in the future, which is going to go more in depth on how to keep conversations going. I think that's a point that a lot of people get stuck on. So I definitely want to offer more resources, and I think more in depth resources on that too. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up button on this video, guys. The more thumbs up, the better. So I'm gonna look through some of these. Let's see. My crush blocked me on Instagram. What should I do? So James, definitely, I have a few videos on that, getting blocked on Instagram. You should definitely check them out. How to talk to that person, how to kind of get them to unblock you. So definitely check that out. Thomas Turner, I bought your book, Josh. Awesome, Thomas Turner. Thank you so much. I did a poll recently, guys. This is a side note. I did a poll on the community tab asking how many people know that I have a book, and I want to put it up here because not a lot of people know that I do. I think it was like 40% of the poll said I didn't even know you had a book. So this is the book, Embracing the Awkward. It's a guide for teens to succeed at school, life, and relationships. And so a lot of people were saying things like, I'm graduating high school, I don't need it, but it goes beyond high school, in my opinion. I talk a lot about my college experience as well and how I kind of prepared my lifestyle, my mindset for the future beyond school. So if you're someone that's graduating high school or you're just entering high school, if you're in middle school, this book will definitely be helpful. Embracing the Awkward. You can find it over on Amazon. I just wanted to share that piece. But I'm going to read one more question, then I'm going to jump to how the relationship worked, how we made things work, and then why we broke up. Okay. Let's see. So Eric Qualley says, her parents aren't letting her have a boyfriend, but it's kind of like dating because we hang out a lot. I know she likes me and she knows I like her, but her parents don't want her actually dating. I totally get where you're coming from on that. I did a video on that too. My crush's parents won't let them date or something. I forgot what I titled it, but basically here's the thing. If she's not allowed to officially have a boyfriend, but the two of you are hanging out every so often, then that might be just what you have to settle for. The next best thing that you may want to try doing is having her bring her parents into the equation to get to know you better. So that might be something like if she's, let's say, FaceTiming with you and she's around her parents, she can always say, oh, say hi to my parents, and then have you say hi to the parents. That way the parents know who you are. They know that you're not some weirdo talking to their daughter, and they can get to know you a little better and they can get to grow more comfortable with you over time. So I would encourage her to do little things like that to bring you up in conversation with them, to just kind of make you a relevant part of her conversations with them so that they can say, hey, this kid is talking to our daughter. We've seen him before. He seems like a cool guy. Maybe even go over her house one day and meet the parents in person. There are different ways you can kind of help build that relationship. But I want to tell you guys why we broke up, because this is a crucial piece. This is the piece of the story why me and my first girlfriend broke up. Now, it sounded like everything was working great, didn't it? I mean, like the two of us really connected. We lived close to each other. We hung out a lot. But this is where I started to make the mistakes. And how I started to make the mistakes was, while in the relationship, I was way too nervous to kind of be her boyfriend or be the boyfriend that she needed. What I mean by that is that I didn't want to, or I didn't, not that I didn't want to, but I didn't feel comfortable holding her hand in school. I didn't feel comfortable kissing her in school. I feel kind of groups of people and being affectionate. I felt weird. I felt like people would judge me or make fun of me or spread rumors or do any of these kinds of things. So instead, I kind of treated her more like a friend when I saw her in person. It was more like, oh, hey, gave her hugs, and that was it. And I think what ended up happening was that she started to get bored of that. She started to feel like, hey, like this guy isn't really like showcasing that he likes me or that he cares about me. Does he really care about me? Another thing on top of that is that whenever I would bring her around to hang out with me and my friends, I spent way too much time and focus on my friends, where I kind of neglected her or didn't act like a boyfriend. I acted more like I'm hanging out with my friends. Oh, and you're there. So like if I was walking and talking with my friends, we would all walk in a group and she would kind of walk with whatever girls were there too in the back. I remember there was one point, man, it was so cringeworthy. It's like I was too nervous to hold her hand, right? And I remember one of her friends came up to me and was like, hey, you're not even being a boyfriend to her. Can you should at least hold her hand. And I went to hold her hand, and instead of grasping hands like this, I ended up grabbing it like how was it, like this or something. And two fingers got caught in between, and I felt so nervous to correct it that I walked with her like 2 blocks with our hands like this. Like, I don't know if you could see this, like just all and most awkward kind of hand holding ever. And I know like these little things caught up with her, and eventually she felt like, listen, this guy just isn't the kind of boyfriend that I need. And eventually I remember I was hanging out with my friends. She called me up on the phone and said, listen, I think you're a great person and all, but I don't know if we should really be in a relationship. I don't really feel those same emotions. And I remember when she told me that, I totally understood where she was coming from. I knew that my actions weren't, like my actions led to that moment, and we broke up. So that's how we ended up breaking up. A big part of it was because I didn't showcase enough initiative. I was too nervous. I was too scared to be the boyfriend that she needed. So if you checked out the video that I posted this week, I talk all about moving in and becoming a boyfriend and girlfriend, starting a relationship with someone, and how to really get that going, how to make that work, how to make that other person feel valued in it. So that's basically the wrap up of that story. I mean, that was my first girlfriend. Now, that was my sophomore year in high school. Now, I didn't have my second girlfriend till I was way in college, right? There was a lot that happened in high school, a lot of friend zoning experiences, a lot of craziness, but it wasn't until what was I? I was a freshman. No, I was a sophomore in college. That was the time that I got my second girlfriend. So that story is a little bit crazier. A lot of crazy things happened leading up to it, and a lot of crazy things happened afterwards with it. So I definitely want to share that with you guys. I'm curious to know, you guys have any questions about that? Have you ever made a mistake like that too? Have you ever just been so nervous around either your boyfriend, your girlfriend, or just someone that you liked, so nervous that you were afraid to kind of be natural and just let your personality shine? If you've been in that situation, I want you to post a sad face emoji, right? It's a pretty sucky thing to experience, but I want to know how many of you guys have been in that situation where you just weren't yourself in front of someone that you liked. I know I've been there before. I'm gonna look at some of you guys' comments and see what you guys are saying here. Thomas Turner says, I can imagine me doing that. Unknown says, yeah, I was nervous too. I was nervous as well. Thomas says there's a twist coming. Anthony, getting the parents to like you is a major step. Definitely. So Unknown says, what should I do to get the whole high school experience? I'm the weird weeb kid. I think you mean I'm the weird dweeb kid currently, I'd say. So yeah, if you feel like you're a bit of an outcast, or you're kind of the weird kid in school and you want the whole high school experience, I think it's important to think about what is the high school experience. We all have different perceptions of that. A lot of people look at the high school experience as like going to parties, getting into relationships, having hookups, whatever it is. I think the first step towards getting the high school experience that you want. Oh, anime weeb. Okay. Oh, weeaboo. All right. I thought you meant dweeb, but anime weeb. Okay. So getting the first kind of like taking that first step towards the full high school experience, I think personally starts with getting to know people, really getting yourself out there and making friends, right? Because if you're not making friends, if you're not talking to people, then you're never going to find out about the things going on, right? No one's just going to automatically decide to invite you or bring you on board. You have to kind of build your connections with other people. So if you're an anime weeb, one thing you may want to do is you might want to turn to other people and ask them, hey, what shows do you watch? What shows do you like watching on Netflix or Crunchyroll or any of these different types of things, or any place you watch anime really? And just start learning more about other people. Start learning about their hobbies and their interests. And I guarantee over time, if you talk to enough people, like just turn to the person in your class, or turn to someone in the hallway and just start a conversation with them. And I guarantee you'll run into someone who also loves anime just as much as you do. And that's how you start to build these kind of relationships and connections. James Power says, Josh, can you ask out a girl if you barely know them? I personally think you can. I think you have a better chance of it succeeding if you spend more time getting to know them. But if it's a girl that you barely know and you've had maybe brief conversations with them, you could definitely ask them to hang out. It's very asking them to hang out is very different from asking them to be your girlfriend. Spend that time. If you want it to be your girlfriend, you're going to need to hang out enough times. But if you just want to hang out once with them just to see if you guys click, I don't think you need to know her that well in order to do it. You could just say, "You seem like a cool person. What are you doing after school? Let's go get something to eat. Hey, let's go for a walk." Something as simple like that. So, Josh, have I missed anything? I just joined your live stream. Alan, I told my first story of how I asked out my first girlfriend, how we made that work, and then why we broke up. I'm moving into the story now of my second girlfriend. So, with my second girlfriend, I was already in college, but oddly enough, there weren't any girls in college that I really tried to ask out or anything like that. I had crushes. There were girls I talked to, but it just didn't really work out. I just wasn't forward enough with it. It wasn't until the summertime. All right, it was the summertime of my freshman year, right? That's technically because I started college sophomore year. So it was the summertime of my freshman year that one of my friends had a girlfriend, and she brought her group of friends around. Now, I met all these girls and stuff. I got to know them. We became really close friends, and there were two girls in the equation that I liked, right? Two girls. I'm like, oh, this one's cool, and this one kind of likes me, and this one's cool, and this one kind of likes me. Which one do I choose? Now, I'm curious to know how many of you guys have been in a situation where you felt torn between two people that you liked and you weren't sure which one to ask out. If you've been in that situation where you like two people, you didn't know who to ask out, post a fruit emoji, a banana, an apple, grapes, anything in the chat right now. I want to see all the different fruit emojis for any of you guys that have been in that situation. You like two people, you weren't sure how to choose between them, because that was the situation I was in. I remember hanging out with both of them on different days and here and there, and I just wasn't sure who to pursue. And what ended up happening was one of them kind of liked me, I think, a lot more than the other one. So that girl was a little bit more forward, a little bit more kind of out there. And one night, we were all hanging out at my friend's house for a party. She was a little drunk and stuff, and I think that gave her the liquid courage to kind of really kind of come on to me. And I was like, okay, I'm feeling this vibe. And the two of us started making out, and that's how it kind of started. We hung out for the rest of the night. We really got to know each other well. And I remember at the end of the night, she ended up asking me, she's like, hey, do you want to start going out? Now, this kind of runs counter to what I was saying before, which was spend a little bit of time dating, hanging out, and then go out with them. With this girl, we immediately jumped into that relationship. I was like, yeah, cool. And the two of us were official the very next day. Thomas is asking how old I was. Let's see. I was a sophomore in college. So I was maybe, I want to say 19 or 20 years old. That's when I had my second girlfriend. First girlfriend at like 15, second girlfriend at maybe 19 or 20, around that time. So that's kind of how it played out. The two of us started going out the very next day because we hooked up and we really enjoyed each other's company on that first day. Now, keep in mind, we hung out a few times before, but never as a date, only as a group of friends. So in essence, she kind of came to me rather than me going to the girl like I did the first time around. And from that moment on, we spent the rest of the summer hanging out. Like, we would travel to the city together. We would hang out with our friends, and it was official. We spent so many nights and parties at my friend's house just hanging out, and just the two of us really getting closer with each other. Now, where things started to get high school is freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. College is, depending on what degree you're taking, 4 years as well. I took my bachelor's degree, so it was 4 years. Michael Pro saying, notice me, Josh. I noticed you, Michael. I noticed you. What grade am I in? Maybe he's talking to someone else. So anyway, the two of us were hanging out. Things were great. We're going out. It's my second girlfriend here. And then I'm getting to the point where I'm realizing, man, when the summer ends, I have to go back to college, and she's going to a college upstate. She's going somewhere far away from me. And we're going to have a long distance relationship. So even though things are cool right now and it's the summertime, we're going to have this long distance relationship. And I'm not sure how I'm going to make that work. And I'd never been in a long distance relationship before. I wasn't really sure how to navigate that, but I knew that we were going to jump into that. So what I ended up doing was I told myself, look, I'm going to do all that I can to make this work. I'm going to try to talk to her every single day. We're going to try to Skype with each other. We're going to hang out during the vacations, winter vacation for Christmas. We're going to hang out during the summer times. It's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. So the two of us went on our ways and carried on with this long distance relationship. Now, in the very beginning, it was fine, right? She was just starting college. And I remember telling myself this, like, here's something I think is a real concern or something you really have to pay attention to. If you're in a relationship, right? Let's say you're in a relationship going from high school into college. When you start college, you're entering a brand new world. So you have to remember that it's going to be difficult sometimes to keep a relationship going when you're entering that new world or your partner's entering that new world, simply because they're going to be introduced to so many new people and so many new things. And it's kind of like when you go on vacation and you kind of forget about the real world, you forget about all the things you have to do at home, and you kind of like your mindset is on that vacation, like, this is my life, this is what I'm doing. College kind of functions like that. So when she started college, she had a new group of friends and new people to hang out with and new people to study with and go to class with. And she started to create her own world. Now, I'm not the kind of person that gets jealous or anything like that. For me, it's like, hey, listen, let's be open. Let's be honest with each other. That's how I roll. So I remember there were tons of times where she would say things, I believe, to try to get me to be jealous, try to get me like upset. And it just never really worked, right? So she would say things like, "Oh, I'm going to go hang out with these guys and we're going to party on the weekend." I said, "Hey, that's cool. Listen, you know what my boundaries are. I don't feel comfortable with you hanging out and like sleeping over there or doing something crazy like that. Just respect my boundaries." And I think that she didn't like that. I think she wanted me to get angry. She wanted me to get a little like, "No, you can't do this." And that's just not who I am. But anyway, we started running into situations like that where she would get upset, for example, if it was Friday night and I wanted to go out with my friends. She'd be like, "Oh, but can't you just stay in your dorm and talk to me on the phone?" And it's like, I don't really want to. I mean, Friday night I want to go out and stuff. I can talk to you during the week or during the day. So we started running into these kind of challenges. Those are some of the challenges we had in this long distance relationship. It was like navigating our time and our schedules was difficult. And the main reason why it was so difficult was because, um, it's like we both had our own lives and we were trying to fit each other into those lives. Now, as time went on, like I noticed that we would get into fights over the smallest of things. We'd argue about something nonsensical. And I remember so many times I'd have to leave my dorm room when I was talking on the phone to go to like the kitchen area or somewhere else so that my roommate wouldn't hear me getting upset and arguing on the phone. And we ran into these little issues here and there. And like I said, the relationship started good and started to taper off as time went on. We'd hang out on vacations, things like that. But what I started to notice was this: is that she was a little bit jealous. She did say things sometimes that I felt were like, "Hey, that's not really cool. I don't really like when people are kind of rude or mean to other people." And she would make these little comments about people, sometimes random strangers, and I didn't like that. I'm not a fan of like mocking people or making fun of them. Just not what I do. But she would do that all the time. And as time went on, I kept telling myself, man, like all we do is argue, all we do is fight. Like, and I remember telling her one day, I said, "Look, if we're going to continue fighting, if this thing is every time we have a conversation, we're going to fight, then I don't want to be in this relationship. Then I'm going to break up." I remember there was one instance. Now, guys, this is a pretty crazy experience that I'm going to share with you guys that kind of helped me realize, like, hey, maybe I shouldn't be with this girl. So let me jump into chat here and see what's going on. I see people asking, how do I act in a double date? How do I act in a double date? That's an interesting question. I haven't done a video on a double date yet. That's definitely something I'll cover. Just a quick piece of advice on that. If you're going on a double date, I think the key really is to you want to be able to jump back and forth between talking to everyone and then talking solely to the person that you want to talk to, right? So you're not on two single dates, you're on a double date, meaning you could talk to your friend, you could talk to the other person, you could talk to your crush. And I would advise doing that. Now, there will be times where you may want to separate with the person you're with, and they'll separate with the other person they're with. And I think that's the key to a successful double date, having your alone time and then having your group time. So the two of us kept arguing on the phone. This became our routine. And I remember telling myself, like, this is not the type of relationship that I want. I don't want a relationship that's all we're going to do is fight. And there was one time that she had come back for winter break, and she came back for winter break and we were talking on the phone and we started arguing about something. Now, she lived at home with her parents during, the breaks and stuff like that. And her parents' room was like paper thin walls next to her room. And she starts like yelling and getting loud on the phone. And I remember telling her, like, oh, hold on. You're yelling right now. You're getting upset. Your parents are in the next room. It's really late at night. I don't think it's respectful for you to be yelling like that. So if you're going to yell, let's cool down. Let's have this conversation later. And I remember her telling me, no, you better not hang up this phone. Don't you dare. Just getting louder and louder. And I kept telling her, I'm like, look, if you're going to keep yelling, I'm going to hang up this phone. I don't want to have a conversation with someone who's yelling and it's being rude to to their parents. So she kept yelling and I just hung up the phone. And I remember my phone started vibrating. She was calling, vibrating, texting, calling. And I just turned off my phone for the night. I'm like, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not talking to her. When I woke up the next day and turned on my phone, I had like 150 voicemail messages or missed phone calls or whatever it was. She just kept calling over and over and over. And she was so angry at me. And the next day, she's like, when I talked to her, she's like, how dare you? How dare you do that to me? And I told her, I said, look, I told you straight up, if you're going to be rude to your parents, I don't want to be a part of that. That's not the case here. So, of course, we kept running into these rough patches. And I kept telling myself, is this the type of relationship I want? And I realized eventually, no, it wasn't. So how did I end up breaking up with this girl? Well, I told her before, I said, look, if we're going to keep fighting, then I don't want to be in this relationship. So one day we were in the middle of a random fight and it just hit me. I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I think we need to break up. And her tone changed. It went from like angry to, what? No, you can't break up with me. You can't do this. And I just told her, I'm like, look, I've made my decision. I don't want to be in this anymore. And we broke up. Now, it sounds like, okay, that's the end of it. We went on with our lives. The two of us didn't talk for a while. But something crazy did happen a little bit later on. I do want to share that with you guys in a second. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up button on this video if you're enjoying these stories. I'm going to jump in. I see people are in the chat and they're asking, unknown, are you a girl? Unknown said, I'm unknown. I think that's the best answer. Josh, can I speak to you in a little bit on Snapchat? Maybe, yeah. I mean, I haven't really been using Snapchat a lot, guys. In case anyone doesn't know, I've been going ham on Instagram. Like, that's where I am, guys. That's where I'm spending a lot of my time, doing Instagram stories, doing IGTV, answering questions on there. So let me brighten this because it's really dark. If you guys aren't already following me over on Instagram, go do that right now. Usually what I do after these live streams, I go on and I do an Instagram after party. So jump on and do some video chatting with you guys and stuff. So I would definitely go follow me over on Instagram. I think it'll be cool. We can chat over there, guys. That's my main talking platform, I would say. But okay. So we broke up, right? We broke up. I remember not talking to her for a while. Then one day I'm in the car with my friends. We're driving. And as we're driving, my phone starts ringing. Now I'm squished in the middle. Like when three people are in the backseat of a car and you're squished? I was sitting in the middle. And my phone starts ringing. I take it out and I'm like, okay, hey, hi. And it was her. And she calls me and she's a little drunk or a little, off for something. I don't know. She's a little off. And she's like, hey, I think we should get back together. You better get back with me. If you don't get back with me, I'm going to kill myself. And I remember thinking to myself, uh-oh, now things are getting a little serious here because I don't want her to harm herself. That's the last thing I want in this world. And she sounded like she was emotionally distraught and angry and maybe a little drunk or whatever it was. And she kept saying, you better get back with me or else I'm going to kill myself. I have pills. I'll take pills. And what can I do to bring the tension down? And I remember thinking the only card I can pull out right now. And on the phone, I said to her, if you keep talking like that, I'm going to tell on you. And she's like, what do you mean you're going to tell on me? I'm like, I'm going to call your parents up right now and I'm going to tell on you. I'm going to tell them exactly what you're saying you're going to do. And within that moment, it like snapped for her. She's like, okay, all right, fine. Just don't call my parents. Forget I said anything. All right, goodbye. And she hung up the phone. That was my way of kind of bringing the tension down. I had to threaten to tell on her and to tell her parents about what she was doing, which is a crazy experience. Now, look, I share these stories about her and I talk about this experience, and it's not to discredit her. It's not to say she's a bad person. We were all young back then. And I think a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of you guys are young too. It's like when you're young, you say things, you do things, as you get older, you start to look back, think about it. And this is what I want you guys to be interactive with this here. Post a thumbs up in the chat right now if you've ever said something. If you said something when you were younger, and as you've gotten older, you look back and you regret it. You're like, that was stupid. I should have never done that. I should have never said that. I think we all have had experiences like that where we kind of look back and we are regrettable about the things that we said and did. And it's like, yeah, I was kind of young. I was kind of stupid. I probably shouldn't have acted that way. So leave a thumbs up if you've done that before. I know if I was in the chat right now, I'd leave 1,000 thumbs up. So, we've all been in that situation before. So I don't hold anything against her. I think that she is a kind and genuine person. I just think at the time, it's like her situation, how she was young. She was, crazy with it. That's all it was. So no hard feelings to her at all, But I do want to share the story now of my third girlfriend. There's a lot of thumbs up there. So I think that we've all kind of been in that situation, guys. Not alone here. But before I get into the story of my third girlfriend, which hint, hint, spoiler alert, my third girlfriend, guys, became my wife. See the ring? She became my wife. So that's a fun story to tell. I'm going to share that with you guys here. I'm going to look at some of your questions here and just kind of answer what you guys are talking about here. Michael Pro says, I dated a banana once. Hey, cool, man. Alan Murno, Josh, has she ever done drugs? No. She never did drugs or anything like that. I think she was just maybe drinking with her friends. El Sai says, I dated a redhead. I'm glad it's over. So El Sai, what happened with that? I'm assuming things didn't work out. Thomas Turner, how do you talk to a girl that likes you, but you hardly talk to her? So Thomas, yeah, I think a good way to start a conversation with a girl that you don't really know that well is to ask a question. So you may want to ask a question about something that's going on around you. And that could be something related to school. That could be something related to, I guess, pop culture. Maybe if, let's say a new movie just came out, you can say, hey, have you seen this movie? I've heard a lot of people talk about it and say it's good. I'm not sure if I should go watch it. What do you think? Like, you could start a conversation about basic things like that. James says, Josh, what happened to those Tuesday and Friday night streams on Instagram? So I kind of changed up my format, James. Now I do Thursday live streams here on YouTube with the Instagram live stream after party afterwards. So if you want to jump on the Instagram live stream after party, go follow me over on Instagram and you'll see me over there. Let's see. Anthony says, I remember screwing up a friendship on Discord last year. I still regret it, but I ended up fixing things with her, so now we're cool. That's cool, man. Speaking of Discord, guys, I set up a Discord, and next week, I'm probably going to do videos talking about a lot of the community aspects. I want to do a Q&A with you guys and answer some questions that you guys may have about me personally. I want to talk about the Discord. I want to definitely talk about my book and let you guys know what it was like writing a book and what the book is basically about. So stay tuned because I'm going to share the Discord link with you guys when the time comes. Shadow King saying we want the third girlfriend story. Okay, let me tell you the third girlfriend story, guys. Frankie Hernandez, love your videos. Thank you, Frankie. I appreciate it. Okay, so for my third girlfriend, so this is post-college, right? I've already graduated. I started a job. I'm already working. And at my job, I met this girl who also liked YouTube, like videos, things like that. And me and her started to connect. We became friends and she wanted to start a YouTube channel. So the two of us started a YouTube channel. We were doing videos over on her channel. And one video that we did in particular, we had went to this place called, I was going to say Mermaid Fountain. That's from college. That's a college story. We went to this place called the Mermaid Parade, right? The Mermaid Parade is kind of like on the beachfront and people kind of dress up in costumes and it's just a parade. People parade down with all these fun costumes. Now, me and this girl from my job went to go record a video over there at the Mermaid Parade. And the girl ended up inviting her friend, right? Her friend came to just kind of hang out with us there. Now, when we were there at the Mermaid Parade, now keep in mind, it's like I'd been making YouTube videos with this girl like week after week after week. So whenever we went out to do videos, like they were always her friends were always around here and there. I met a lot of people. But so we go to this Mermaid Parade and she invites her friend over. And immediately from the beginning, I noticed her friend is like a bit sarcastic. She's like, I'm saying things and she's making sarcastic whims here and there. And I remember telling myself this, it's like, you know what? I've talked to and I've dealt with sarcastic girls before. And my way of dealing with sarcastic people is to shut it down, but playfully. So I remember telling her, she was making all the sarcastic jokes. I remember telling her, listen, rule number one, everyone loves the Josh. And eventually you will too. And she ended up laughing that off. Oh, okay, whatever. You're being a little cocky right now. And I said, look, everyone loves the Josh. Like, you're gonna make fun of me, you're gonna tease me and stuff, but you're gonna fall in love with my personality. I'm just a likable guy. I saying that to her, and then later on, as we kept hanging out, all of us hanging out, she mentioned something about philosophy. I don't know, Friedrich Nietzsche or something, Albert Camus. And I remember telling her, oh my God, I love philosophy. Let's talk philosophy. So the two of us, boom, just started talking about philosophy. And it was really cool. I was like, all right, this girl's cool. She's fun to keep around. Everyone loves the Josh. I used to say that all the time as a joke. It's like rule number one, guys, everyone loves the Josh. That was like my fun thing, stupid thing, but fun thing to say back then. So, so the two of us, Josh, you just gave me something to say to my crush. Awesome, unknown. Cool. Good luck with it. Let me know how it works out. So anyway, so the two of us started talking about philosophy. I ended up getting her number because I'm like, you're cool. We should hang out sometime. And that's that. Now, over the course of the next 2 years, and this is what I think is important, guys, over the course of the next 2 years, the two of us never really hung out. I think we hung out sparingly here and there, but we never really hung out. Most of our connection was built by talking on the phone, by Skyping, by texting. So a lot of that interaction was just random. It wasn't like, oh, let me call her today, and then the next day, let me Skype with her. It was like I'd call her, and then I wouldn't talk to her for a week, and then she would randomly Skype me. So the two of us would talk on and off. This was a long-term play. Now, with my other two relationships, like I said, my first relationship, which was the girl on the bus, it's like I jumped into it, asked her out, and boom, we started dating and went out. My second relationship, she kind of approached me, and overnight we started going out. With this relationship, it took 2 years for us to really hang out in person. We knew each other and we would talk. And over those 2 years, we spent a lot of time really, really building our bond, getting closer, getting to know each other better, which was really cool. And then eventually, there was one night that we shared where we were talking really late on the phone. We'd have these like 3-4 hour long conversations, and they were great and they were really awesome and really in depth. And I started thinking to myself, this girl is really, really cool. How come I'm not hanging out with her in person? And I think she felt the same way. Why am I not hanging out with this guy? It was kind of like one of those stories where, like the two people interact, but neither one of them get it. Neither one of them know, like, oh, try to get with this person. So we hung out. The two of us hung out and we instantly clicked. And it's like everything just went from there simply because we took the time getting to know each other and we really, really understood each other's personalities so that when we hung out in person, it was easy. It was a seamless process. There was no awkwardness. There was no weirdness. We just jumped right into it. So for a lot of you guys, I know a lot of you have known your crushes for years, maybe, right? Like you've been at the same school with them. You've talked to them for a long time. You're best friends with them, whatever your situation may be. It's like, you didn't develop this crush overnight. This is someone that you've liked for a long time. And you've maybe had conversations with them here and there. And my third story here, I think, is living proof that just because you've known someone for a long time, just because maybe they don't see you in a romantic way, that doesn't mean that you can't evolve it. You can't grow it. I think a lot of people feel like, oh, well, I've known my crush for years and she's not going to want to go out with me or he's not going to like me. But I don't think it's true. I think what it comes down to is a change in your personality and your perception of how you carry yourself, right? So if you carry yourself in a way where that other person can look at you and say, wow, this person is different. There's something that's changed about their personality. You want to convey that. And when we hung out in person, there was a different energy there. And the energy was built on us taking time to get to know each other. So the two of us started hanging out more frequently. We hung out for a while, and that's what it was. And it was just our thing. We would hang out. Now, here's the problem, guys. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, Josh, you're stupid, man. What are you doing? So I kept telling myself, and here's the thing, between my second and third girlfriend, I kept telling myself this. I kept saying, Josh, you don't have time for a girlfriend. Oh, you're too busy. You have too many projects. You're doing YouTube. You don't have time for a girlfriend. And I remember that caught up with me. So after a while of hanging out with my third girlfriend for a while, I kept telling her, this is before we were boyfriend and girlfriend, we were still just dating. I kept telling myself, you know what? I can't be in this relationship because I just don't have time for it. And I remember one night I called her and I told her, I said, look, I don't think we should be together because don't think I have enough time to invest into this relationship. And of course, she was understanding. She was hurt by it. And I remember I was going away on a trip. See, Frankie, Josh, you're stupid. What are you doing? I was ruining something because my thoughts had kind of like created the scenario where I wouldn't be able to make it work, right? Have you ever been in a situation like that, guys, where you overthought something and it ruined the outcome of what you were trying to do? If you've been in a situation like that, I want you to leave a face emoji. It could be a shocked emoji, it could be a smiling, it could be a crying, a laughing. If you've been in a situation where overthinking has screwed you over, because that's exactly what it did to me. Overthinking screwed me over. It made me feel like I wasn't able to maintain a relationship, even though there was no reason not to. So, you know, that's basically where it was. And I remember I went on a trip. I went on a trip. Yeah, unknown Eric, the movie raider, Frankie Hernandez, a lot of Anthony. A lot of us have been in situations because Katrina's crazy billions of times. We've all been in situations where overthinking has kind of ruined a situation for us. So, yep, Thomas Turner says we're all stupid sometimes. Absolutely. In that moment, I was stupid. So I went on this trip, and when I came back from the trip, I remember telling myself, you know what? No, give this a chance. Try to make it work. Don't ruin it for yourself. And I remember I met up with her. I brought her a rose. I met up with her and I asked her then officially to be my girlfriend because I knew that I couldn't let the idea of something going wrong or not working out get in the way of pursuing what I wanted. And what I wanted was to be with her. But my thoughts were kind of making me second guess everything. So I decided I have a much better chance of success if I give it a try than if I don't give it a try. That's something I definitely want you guys to really think about here. You have a much better chance of things working out if you pursue them rather than just assuming they're not going to work. Because when you assume they're not going to work, you're going on zero odds. You don't know if it's going to work or not. You're shooting yourself in the foot before you've taken a step forward. So Katrina saying you should do more of these, Josh. Definitely, Katrina. I love sharing stories. I love sharing my experience, guys. So we ran into that situation. We started going out officially. And the thing is, we were going out for several years on end until eventually the time came where it was time for me to propose. Now, the whole marriage story I've shared in a video. I'm going to link it up over here for you guys. I go more in depth, and my wife is actually in it, so you guys can see her. You can see what our chemistry is like, what we talk about. I'm going to link that video up, or just look it up on my channel. I think you have to be a girlfriend a month later on her birthday. Yep, maybe that's when I asked her to be my girlfriend. I don't remember all the details, maybe, but yeah, that's basically when it was. But still, fact of the matter is that if you guys want to know how we ended up getting married, how that played out, definitely check out the video. I'm going to have it over there on my channel. But that's basically how the whole process worked out. That's how I got 3 girls to say yes to being my girlfriend, because I think for the first case, I was very proactive. I took a chance. I wanted to be with her and I pursued it. For the second situation, I kind of went with it and stuff. And yes, there were rocky hardships. And yes, there was the fear of a long distance piece to it, but I stuck it out and I tried my best. And for the third situation, I tried to quell my overthinking. I tried to keep myself in check and not allow myself to get psyched out over the idea of things not working out. So that's how things played out. I'm going to jump in and look at what some of you guys are saying in the comments here. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Let's see. Eric is saying, when the girl is allowed to date, how should I ask her out? Should I wait or just go for it? Yeah, Eric, I think if the girl's not allowed to date right now, spend time getting to know her. You guys can still talk. You guys can still get to know each other better. You could still Skype with each other, FaceTime, or talk on Snapchat or Instagram. You could still do all those things before asking her out. And like I said with my third girlfriend, invest time in getting closer with her, because if you do that, then when she can start dating, it's an easy process. You just ask her out, and then boom, you guys have already built up that connection with each other. Let's see. Unknown says, Josh, what can I do for my first day of sophomore year so people can find me as someone people want to be friends with? That's a really good question, Unknown. I think when you're starting as a freshman, it could be incredibly scary. Now, I'm not sure. No, you're starting as a freshman in high school, because I have a video you might want to check out. I actually have a whole playlist dedicated to videos on starting out as a freshman in high school. Check that playlist out. But I think the very first thing you can do when you start is when you're sitting there in your very first class, Keep in mind, everyone's a freshman too. No one knows anyone, and everyone's starting fresh. So turn to the person to your side and introduce yourself. I think it's the very, very best thing that you can do when you first start as a freshman, simply because the person that you turn to is new and they're going to look at that as, hey, this person is trying to make me feel comfortable. Let me talk to them. Turn to the person to your left, turn to the person to your right. Do that in every single class that you have within that first day or first week of school. And I guarantee it'll help you feel more open up. It'll help you feel more open. It'll help you kind of ease into that process, and it'll help you instantly start making friends. Like, it's easy to make friends in the beginning rather than later on, because later on people already have their cliques and their groups. So in the beginning, try to make friends that way. I know it's scary. I'm not saying it's easy to do, but I think it's easier if you try it in the beginning. Let's see. J Star says, have you got any advice for asking out a guy who has social anxiety? That's a really good question, J Star. So I did a video on how to talk to shy girls and guys, and I think the key to talking to someone who's shy is that the person who's shy wants to feel comfortable around you, right? So the way to get them to feel more comfortable around you is for you to be more open with them. So what that means is that the person who's shy is not really going to say much or do much. You have to kind of carry the conversation forward. So you might want to do that by sharing stories about yourself, talking to them about what your experiences are like with something. Tell them what your favorite movies are, what you like to do for fun. The more you share with them, the more you share with them, the easier it becomes for them to open up, because they're going to feel like, hey, this is a person I can trust. So I'm going to share things back with them. Thomas Turner says, how do you stop blushing when near girls? That's a good question, Thomas. I think that the way you get over the fear of being around girls actually is just to be around girls more. I think the more time you spend interacting with girls, even if it's girls that you just see as friends, the more time you spend interacting with girls, the less and less you're going to be afraid in that environment. So take some time to just talk to more girls. Even if they're girls you're not attracted to or you want to be with, just make more friends that are girls, because it'll make it easier for you to be around them overall. So let's get to some more here. CVM says, hey, Josh, because of you, I'm with the most incredible girl who I never thought I could get, but it turns out she liked me for years. That's awesome, man. Like, I'm happy for you, dude. Like, that's exactly what it is. It's like, sometimes, we hold ourselves back from pursuing the things that we want because we're afraid they're not going to work out. And look, in your situation, CVM, it's like she liked you for years. She was waiting for you to make that move, to take action. And I think a lot of you guys can learn from that experience too. It's like, a lot of the decisions in life are only going to happen if you take action and move forward with them, right? Like, things are not just going to magically happen by themselves. You need to kind of be proactive. And part of that means living the values of confidence, living those values of mindfulness, living the values of compassion, demonstrating those in your daily life. Dragon Master, who's your favorite wrestler? My current favorite wrestler, I would say, is, I'm a huge Braun Strowman fan, so he's really won me over. All-time favorite wrestler, maybe Kurt Angle. So let's see. CVM says, I had to go walk up and talk to her and trust myself, man. So thanks a lot. Yep, absolutely, man. You need to believe in yourself, guys. You already have what it takes to be somebody great. You just need to believe that you actually have that. Okay, then whatever says, how do you be productive over the summer? That's a really good question. I did a live stream a while back about being productive over the summer, but here's my quick take on that. To be more productive over the summer, try to follow a schedule. I know it's easy because you have all the time in the world, but if you create a schedule for yourself, it becomes easy to be more productive. So for example, when you wake up in the morning, maybe the first thing you want to do is exercise, get the blood flowing. Maybe try to wake up every day by 10 a.m. Let's say it's the summer. So 10 a.m. and try to run for an hour, go jogging, do push-ups, do cardio, then take a shower. By noon, you're already showered up, you're relaxed and stuff. You can eat lunch, you can hang out. Then after lunch, maybe take some time to work on a hobby or work on something. Maybe you can read a book, maybe you can make YouTube videos. But I think if you set a morning structure, it becomes way easier to carry forward. So 10 a.m. is too early. Maybe 10 a.m. is too early, but it's good to, like I said, if you want to be structured, waking up early is a lot better. When you wake up later in the day, it's harder to maintain a structure, guys. That's just the truth. So, like I said before, guys, for those of you that aren't following me over on Instagram, go follow me over on Instagram, guys. After this live stream, I'm going to do an Instagram after party. All the cool people are at the after party. So come join the Instagram. Come join me on Instagram at the Josh Speaks. One last question here. Katrina's Crazy says, do you have any book suggestions? Yes. Let me get these books. Here's two right off the bat. These are two books that I recommend. One of them is Evan Carmichael's Top 10 Rules for Success. This book is amazing. It kind of outlines what a lot of the leaders in this world, like people like Denzel Washington and Louis C.K., Maya Angelou, Will Smith, Gary Vaynerchuk, Warren Buffett. This book kind of outlines what all the most successful people do, their top 10 rules for success. I highly recommend it. Evan Carmichael is the author. This book, Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last. This book talks all about how to be a leader, how to help people grow. This book definitely has helped me with my channel on how to speak to you guys and how to communicate with you guys. And the third book I would recommend is Embracing the Awkward. This is my book, and it's a guide for teens to succeed at school, life, and relationships. And I think what's really cool about it is that, it took me a long time. To write this book, but it's packed full of all the stuff I talk about here on YouTube. So definitely check it out, guys. You can find it over on Amazon. Like I said, these three books. Katrina says my dad's read that book. I'm assuming you're meaning this one's Simon Sinek, but these are three books. Definitely check out. But guys, yeah. So that's how I got 3 girls to say yes to being my girlfriend. I hope that was helpful. If you guys found it helpful, put the thumbs up in the chat here. Go follow me over on Instagram. And on that note, guys, let's got these fidget spinners over here. We're going to wrap it up here. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. And on that note, guys, I will see you tomorrow for the last video in this week's series on making a relationship work. All right, guys, on that note, I'll catch you next time. As always, love and peace. See you guys. I need to switch hands to do this.